Four, three. Hello, creators. How are you guys? It is great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode / live stream. I think is it like, I think you can say slash in normal conversational English. I'm not quite sure, but welcome back, everybody. It is great to have you. I'm excited to talk with you about something I genuinely want to learn about, which is how do we use a website as YouTube creators? How do we use them as tools? Or maybe we don't need one. And in which cases do we need one? If we do need one, how do we position it and set it up? And what role does it play? Whether we're just trying to grow a YouTube channel as a hobby, or we're actually trying to grow a business here. We're like, how do we use our website effectively as YouTube creators? And I've been using a website for a long time, videocreators.com. And actually back in 2005, I got started on the whole online internet world with WordPress 1.5. Back then, it was pre-Facebook days, and I just wanted a place to talk about what I was eating and how it made me feel. And so I started it, as bored one night, and timschmoyer.com was the domain, and it eventually grew into something that supported our family for a few years as a full-time blog in the youth and family space. So that part of the web stuff, I think makes sense. But then when it comes over to, I actually don't really care about a website. I'm just trying to grow a YouTube channel. I'm just trying to do brand deals, and I'm selling advertising stuff. And or I am a marketer, and we already have a website. Isn't the goal of every video just to get everyone over to the website? Those are all questions we want to dive into today, and maybe how to even repurpose some of your videos on a website and a blog that you might be growing. So I'm really excited to do that here and introduce you guys to a new friend of mine. Just met not too long ago, Mr. Hashtag Jeff. I guess people don't call you Mr., but Hashtag Jeff, that's your name, right? Also known as Jeff Howley. We connected, what was that, last week or two weeks ago now, right? Out in Arkansas?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And we were both speaking at an event called the company was Soapbox Influence, but this was their little summit conference thing, and I looked at his session title. I'm like, that sounds like something I would say. And the more we kind of talk, we're like, what he does in Google SEO world is pretty much same as what I'm doing here on YouTube world. So there's a lot of synergies here. So I wanted to introduce him to you guys. But Jeff, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started with all your website and SEO stuff.
Oh, my name is Jeff. I'm online. I got this reputation and known as Hashtag Jeff. But I focus on SEO. I've been doing SEO for quite a while. Mostly on for the most of my career was businesses and corporations and things like that. But then in the last 3 years, I started working with influencers and bloggers. And so a lot of food bloggers, craft, DIY, that sort of thing. But my Instagram handle was just Hashtag Jeff. And that's how people started to contact me as I started to gain a reputation and stuff. And so it just kind of stuck from there. So it was one of those things that I didn't love at first, but it fits in the space because everybody's social media and influencer and all that stuff. So it's been good. Go ahead. What?
No, so what do you do then with that? Are you working mostly with clients now and their SEO and was it just started because you started with hashtag, I can't say that, I stumbled over Hashtag Jeff, and has that led to where we are today, or is it other projects, or what kind of got you here?
For those of you who don't know, SEO is search engine optimization, I focus on SEO on the web side, but I got introduced to a few bloggers who had a decent amount of traffic, and I just kind of did this makeshift audit for them and didn't charge them, made a few changes to their site, and within a couple of weeks they were getting more traffic. It was kind of funny though, because the first message they sent back to me was, "What did you do?" And that's all I got 2 weeks later. And so I kind of freaked out a little bit, thinking that I maybe had screwed up or something. But everything that we had worked on was up 20 or 30% within 2 weeks. And so, that's kind of how it started. But then, little by little, I mostly do audits, but I'm a big believer in teaching people how to do this on their own, so they don't have to hire weird SEO guys, because SEO is one of those, like, it's one of those topics. I mean, if you have a website or a brand, you've probably gotten emailed, I mean, weekly and monthly, with requests that we can do your SEO and all these promises and stuff. And so it's kind of this, I don't know, we've kind of become like a snake oil salesman among marketers and stuff. So I'm a big believer in teaching people, but it's been good. And now I just work with influencers and mostly, like I said, bloggers and things. But there's a few on the YouTube side that I've recently started to get to know and help and things like that. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I have I get a lot of those emails. And they use like the yellow highlighter to highlight like special words in their email body. And I'm like, if you really do SEO, then your website would rank like for this, and I could just find you if I really wanted to, right? So, yeah, so I get a lot of those really broken English type of email messages. So, yeah, I think one of the things that, if you guys don't know Jeff, if you know me, and it's like we are all about optimization and discoverability in terms of like the human element, the human side of this, because like the better you serve the person, the more the algorithms, quote unquote, are favoring your content because people are getting really good value from it. They're spending a lot of time watching your videos, and they spend more time watching more videos, or they're spending a lot of time on your website, and so it's really like the human element is what they're trying to measure. And so rather than just kind of focusing on like keywords and tags and search volume and competition and all these types of things, it's like, hey, what if we just focus on chasing the thing that the algorithm chases, which is, are people responding positively to this or not? And I haven't really heard any other like traditional SEO guys kind of use that language until Jeff's session. I'm like, ooh, we need to talk. Yeah. So, and knowing Google, but well, personally, like working with YouTube and knowing some of the how they operate there and what their objectives are, what YouTube's goals are very much aligned with a lot of what Google's goals are. And so I think there's a lot of overlap and correlation here. So really excited to dive into this with you, Jeff. Now, those of you guys who are in the live stream, Laura, my producer's there. She will be taking questions from you guys. So if you have questions as Jeff and I talk about this topic, leave them in the chat and Laura will put them in front of us. We have a shared Google Docs that we use, and we will dive into those, all those questions here in just a little bit. Ones that are relevant to the topic, of course. So thank you, Laura, for doing that. So Jeff, when someone is thinking about getting started as a website, as a YouTube creator, one of the first questions is like, well, that sounds like a lot of time. And that sounds like it's going to be another platform I have to maintain. And like, it's just going to take more expense. Like, is it really worth it? You know, like how does having a website as a YouTube creator, like, does that even benefit me at all? Like, should I even listen to the rest of this conversation?
It's funny that you get, because like I've recently talked to, like, in the YouTube community, and that same, I guess, concern arises with everyone, is that I don't have a lot of time. Is it how much like more time? It seems like it's going to be a lot of work, but those that aren't in the YouTube or the video community that create more content for their websites, they think that same thing about video. And so like when I'm looking at it, like I look at it, how much video you guys create and like the amount of work that goes into creating a single video. And I think that the amount of time that you guys put into video compared to what it would take to create a piece or like add content to your website, written content. I mean, to me, that seems like it's like a walk in the park compared to creating video content, because shooting and editing video takes a ton of time. So like I said, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily the case, because you guys get really good at it, and so you guys are in a rhythm. And so I would say that yes, it's going to definitely add more time. But like I said, I mean, I look at it and compared to what you guys are doing now, and I really don't think that it's that much more time. And a lot of the content, depending on what you guys are creating for your website, I mean, can be outsourced and things like that. So I would say yes, it does take time. I would say setting up and getting it like kind of established, that's going to take a lot of time, and that's going to be the most time. But ongoing, I think that, I mean, video creators could be creating something complementary to their channel very easily, much more easily than a blogger trying to create video content for their brand, if that makes sense.
So yeah, when usually people ask me the question, like, is it worth it? I'm usually thinking, well, what's your goal? Like, I don't know. It might not be worth it for you. Even if it only takes you an extra 60 seconds, that might not be necessary if it has nothing to do with what your goals are. So what type of goals would like a website be aligned with? If like it would be worth your time if you're trying to do X or Y or Z, or like what kind of goals would it make most sense to invest time into a website?
So I would say that the goals there is going to be like long-term, more evergreen content for sure. Or if there's like other monetary, like selling products and things, which I don't really deal with like the e-commerce side, but that is one avenue. And I know a lot of you guys have had a lot of success with products and things. SEO for e-commerce, depending on your product, can be really, really difficult, especially when you have huge sites. I mean, Amazon, Walmart, all of those. So I would say that the biggest opportunity I see is when you have evergreen, either tutorial or informational type content. And that's where, like, I mean, sometimes when on YouTube, if you're more on the vlogging side or if you're more of an entertainer, then I would say that it's not going to be a direct translation over to a website. And so you want to make sure that you have kind of a purpose, like you said, like what's your purpose, like what's your goals. I mean, if you're purely entertainment and like that's like you're going more towards being a celebrity and things like that, then a website is going to be more just a place for your brand. But a lot of creators have very, very good information, and I mean, a website is great for that because not everybody consumes content via video. Like there's a lot of people that want the text content, or I mean, images and other things when they're looking at tutorials and other informational type stuff.
Yeah. So Google is like #1 biggest search engine on the planet. And then YouTube is #2, right? So if you're just doing YouTube, it's great because you're hitting the second largest search engine on the planet. But if you're not doing like a blog, then you might be missing out on the #1 largest search engine on the planet. So if search is really important to you, then it seems like you would say having a website is actually really, really important. So how if we're already doing videos that we're hoping are going to rank and be like educational style videos that we're hoping to be discovered, how might we use a blog or a website to help boost our content's discoverability, whether or not it's the actual video or just maybe the script that we're using or an outline, or like how might that translate to being discoverable through a website? Is that worth the time and energy? And what would that look like?
Yeah, if you're already creating like tutorial informational based content, then a website seems like a very easy translation. I mean, there's a lot of tutorial based creators that I think that are missing an opportunity on websites. I mean, I've worked with a handful, and I mean, in a relatively short amount of time, especially if they're bigger and they have, because I mean, YouTube's a social platform, and SEO, one of the factors is that human element, which is social. And so I've noticed that there's a lot of brands that if they're informational or tutorial, they're able to take it over to their website and see traffic relatively quickly. But I think the big thing, and I was even looking at like yours, you were asking me about your content and stuff. And what I do see a lot of, and I think this is probably the biggest mistake that YouTube creators make when they're trying to develop a website and see the value, is that they'll publish the video, but then they'll have just a little blurb, almost kind of like your description is on YouTube. And
mine is exactly my description. I think there's like word for word. Yeah.
So there's a difference. And so like, I would almost say like, you want your video to be your video, and it's going to be embedded on more of like a WikiHow type tutorial, like to where you outline it and in text and stuff. And I mean, the nice thing is you have video already, so you can hire like a writer or an editor relatively inexpensively, I would say. There's, I mean, a lot of like people that work from home and stuff, but they can write out your content and then they like, I mean, input the headings and just build the experience and things like that. So, I mean, if you're tutorial based, I mean, I would say like get on that right away, because that's an easy translation, and a lot of people don't want just the video.
So you're saying if you want your videos to rank potentially and be discovered in Google, you need to turn that into a blog post on your website. Well, I mean, excluding the videos that are like the top of the search results, but like you want your website to rank, like take it and put it into a blog post, and then, but don't just copy the description from the video into it. like you need to actually write like a more fully like an actual blog post basically? How are we talking, like 600 words, 1200 words, or it doesn't really matter?
I mean, it just depends on the tutorial. Like, I mean, like in my course, sometimes, sometimes I'm writing like a 300 word article that shows them how to do something specific, and I only need 200 or 300 words. Whereas if it's something a little bit more detailed and I need to like know how to edit a video using whatever tool, you could be up 4,000 words or more. So it really just depends. And this is where, and I think this is what you were saying earlier, is where I differ compared to like other SEOs, is that I don't have like this minimum word count, this keyword density, all that other crap. Like I focus on the user, and if the purpose is like, I don't know, like whatever the purpose is, that's what, like, you need to write that amount of content.
Yeah, it's not like on YouTube where you're like, but I used my keyword 14 times in my description, twice in my tags, and twice in my title. YouTube should be super convinced this is what it's about. You're like, well, YouTube actually doesn't care how many times you used. In fact, they don't even know, they don't care what metadata you're using for in some ways, because they're going to figure out what your video is, whether or not you tell them, because a lot of people lie in their metadata. So it's kind of like, they can just look at the video and find out. So, and you're kind of saying the same thing. Like, people, it's not really about smashing different buttons and stuff as much as it is about, does a person read it, spend time there, and actually get value from that page, right?
Exactly. And dwell time is going to be huge. And so if you can keep people on your page and keep people going deeper into your site, I mean, that's going to do well for you.
Great. So let's talk about the other, and then I want to get to some technical stuff. Well, not super technical, but some opinions from you. But for the people who are on the other side of the spectrum, though, they're not an educational channel. They're just more in the entertainment, family vlog, gaming, pranks, comedy, like whatever, skit stuff. Like, they're not really necessarily trying to like get a video to be positioned on Google for any reason. So for those people, what types of goals would make sense for them to have like a website presence for? And would that look different for that person than it does in terms of what they do on the website than the person who's trying to create lots of blog posts and generate content and things like that?
So that one's hard, because I believe this is where you have to kind of determine the business goals and what they're doing. Like, I think that some people, if they're like sheerly on the entertainment side, more of a celebrity, and they're building their brand that way, then a website's just going to be a place that, like, it's going to be more of just like an image and contact and a lot of that information. But I know that a lot of YouTube and like creators are trying to monetize elsewhere, or build their brand and build their channel elsewhere. And so, I think that there are ways that you can, even if you are an entertainment channel, like, for instance, like one that, there's probably much more than this, and I don't know if this is a great example, but like my wife loves the Bucket List Family, and their entertainment, like more like showing you like the trips that they're going on, and my kids watch it and stuff like that. But like, where like that type of content won't do well like over on a website necessarily, because people want to watch that. Like, they're not looking for, like they don't really care about like the information that's in that video unless they're watching it for entertainment value. But what they do care about is like the best places to go, or the best places to stay, or reviews of different products, and other things like that. And that's where like the Bucket List Family could have like a lot of like really valuable content that they could monetize via affiliate sponsors. And even, we didn't talk about ad revenue. Like, ad revenue is huge, because a lot of brands, instead of putting it into radio, TV, and billboards, they're putting it into ads, which, like YouTube sees those ads, but also like, websites and blogs, like that's where all of that, that money is going. But anyways, like, that's where like somebody like the Bucket List Family could create like, information like on where to travel, like best things to like packing lists, like all of that sort of stuff, because they are an expert, and that's what Google wants, is they want experts. And the Bucket List Family has a reputation for travel and all that. And so they're, in essence, like they're an expert on the topic of traveling and certain places and things like that. And so they could definitely start to get a lot of traffic for content like that. And you'd find that there's a lot of people that are seeking that information, even probably among their followers.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of those more brand entertainment channels and such could use a website also just to be like a presence of like this is who we are, this is what we're all about. So more for like brands who want to hire them or work with them, or people who are like, oh, you gotta check out so and so, what are they all about, right? It's just a quick, maybe like, I don't know, maybe not business card necessarily, but it's not a website that you update or you're trying necessarily a whole lot. You're not trying to get it out there and like ranking #1 on Google for anything. It's more about like like a place where brands could go to, or potential new subscribers, and learn who you are, what you're all about, what do you stand for, what's your story, and like how do we get in touch if we want to work with you. And it's kind of more of like a nice brochure, maybe, so to speak. So like I have that at like timschmoyer.com, for example. That was actually the original domain I started when my blog was on. I was bored one night and I was like, oh, timschmoyer.com is available. So I registered it and I was like, now what do I do? So I did some more searching, and that's when I found WordPress and put that up, and like, now what do I do with this? And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just start typing here about what I'm doing right now and stuff like that. So that's like that website is more for that, or smoothies.tv. Actually, I don't even think smoothies.tv is up. We have the domain. I think that's what we are planning on doing, something with that for our family's channel, is that it's just going to be, here's who we are, is what we're all about. Is there value in doing that? Or is that kind of like, don't even waste your time, because the only way people are going to find it is if you send them there? What do you think?
Personally, I think that there is value in that, mostly because, I mean, you own it. And I mean, anytime you're on a platform, like, you don't own it. I mean, I think there's like the platform's nice because there's a lot of value in the platform. But I would say that even if you're like 100% entertainment, 100% like celebrity type, to where you're like really gonna monetize via YouTube and sponsorships and all that stuff, like, I think that having a website is a good investment long term, because it allows you to adapt. I mean, it allows you to be more agile, because the only two things that you own really online are, you own your website and you own your email list. Other than that, like, everything else like is owned by somebody else. And so, like, I'm not, obviously YouTube's it's not going to go down or anything, but like, I mean, if something changes, like, that's where, I mean, if you're relying 100% on a platform, that's where it becomes scary to me, just because, I mean, I'm a business owner and like, I'm really passionate about business and entrepreneurship. And I mean, YouTube's a great entity to have that on, but like, it scares me to invest in a single platform. I think that diversifying is smart for any brand. I can't hear you.
So how do I get started? Like, if someone has no technical skills, they don't have any background in this stuff, and you don't have to necessarily say brands unless you want to, which doesn't matter, but is it like, just say go to WordPress or go to Squarespace or go to like, what do you do? How do you get started? Just real quick.
So I would say WordPress 99.9% of the time. I mean, it's there to create content. Themes and developers are super easy to come by. I mean, you can do it all yourself with a theme. And then developers are super accessible to find, and I mean, relatively inexpensive for the most part, depending on what you want to do. So I'd say WordPress, get good hosting, even just decent hosting. I mean, just get started, and then from there, like, if you're on WordPress, like, once you start to establish at least some, then I mean, it's easy to go back and to adapt and all those things. So.
Okay. Do I need any technical skills to do that?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, honestly, like, I would say that you probably have somebody that knows something about WordPress. Like, I mean, bloggers, like, you have a lot of like moms that like just start and I mean, they start on WordPress. And so I would say that like, and that was like 5-10 years ago. Nowadays, like, it's so much easier, and there's so many tutorials and stuff like that I would say. So yes, but at the same time, like, I mean, I think that my 12-year-old daughter could probably do it if she really wanted to.
Yeah, it's getting simple. I remember when I first did it, I had to create my SQL database, and then I had to figure out how to create a user for that database and then link those two together and then give proper permissions to the user to access different things on the database. And then I had to learn what PHP was and then how to extract a zip folder and upload that through FTP into the correct folder. I remember all that and I figured it out. But now it's just like some of these hosts just have like one-click WordPress installs. Would you recommend those or no?
I would. I mean, so a super simple one that like I would say if you're getting started, like, I mean, you could go with somebody like Bluehost. I mean, Bluehost is like bottom of the barrel. Even they have like a one-click install. But I would say that, I mean, if I'm starting today just from scratch, like I'm going to something like WP Engine. Once you get bigger and have a lot more traffic, like you want to like move somewhere else a little bit more specialized. But I would say WP Engine is a great platform to start. They have great customer service too. So if you screw something up, you just shoot them a message and they'll get you fixed.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's not my favorite for like those that are heavy traffic. Like they have a lot of traffic, but for this space, if you're just looking to get started, WP Engine's a really good option. And it's literally you one click, it lets you know when it's installed, and then you go buy a theme. And in WordPress, you just upload the theme, and then you start to, I mean,
fill it out with content.
Tinker around with it.
So speaking of content, and you guys have some good questions, we're going to dive into them into a second. So if you have any last minute questions here, get them in now. And Laura, and thank you for the super chats. I'll talk about those in a second as well. But content, Jeff, there's just some basic information that every website should contain. Like, hey, if you're a YouTube creator, make sure you have something that does this, that says that, like just kind of like a quick checklist or anything for us.
I mean, it kind of goes back to your, like what you said earlier, is just, it depends on the business. It depends on like what your purpose is. But I would say that, one, I mean, have a good about page and a good contact page, just so that, I mean, people can see what you're all about, like what information, they need to know, contact information, even if it's just a contact form or whatever. Homepage is also key. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go to a homepage and like I scroll and scroll and scroll and I don't know what they're really about.
Yes.
And so like having a good homepage with like, I mean, some good information or like good links to different categories and, or even like your YouTube channel, like that's super important. So I'd say like, and then the other part is navigation. Like make sure that your navigation is clear. Like don't just put home, about, like, I mean, make sure that that's easy to use. Go look at other websites and just kind of use some of that common sense and like think about what's going to make your site at least usable.
Yeah. I do the same thing with like with YouTube channels where you like look at their YouTube channel and you can't figure out what they're about or who they are or like what's going on. And so the same thing in terms of like brand positioning that we use with our clients when it comes to YouTube channels, the same. It kind of is based in like websites, which is like when I get to your homepage, can I quickly figure out who you are, what you're about, like, and the two questions I'm trying to answer is like, one, is this for me? And two, do I care? Right. So I can say, yeah, this is for me, but I don't care. I'm still out. Right. So how do you get someone to care, which is what my session was about, or part of my session about at Megaphone Summit. And if you guys who are channel members, you have access to that. You can actually watch my session from last or week ago about that as you click the join link on my channel and you get access to that. The sessions I present at different conferences and events, I record them and put them there exclusively for you guys. And if you're listening to the podcast, that link is in the show notes. You can get that and access to all of my more in-depth trainings and sessions that I present at different places. So you guys can grab that there.
I wasn't cool enough to record my session.
You you start a YouTube channel, you start thinking about these types of things, I guess. Okay, so then after I have like my homepage, about page, contact page, and like, do I need a section that just kind of pulls in all my videos, or is that just, like, if I'm not writing a full blog post, that part's just probably pointless, right?
Yeah, I mean, if like that pulls in your videos, like, and stuff like that, like I would say that, I mean, that's what YouTube's for. You can have a place where people can watch like your videos, but like I would say that it's going to be better for you if you strategically place your videos into your content and things like that. Like, and I mean, you can use your homepage to feature certain content, but also show your most recent content. I mean, that's how WordPress is set up. It's set up kind of chronologically. So you can have some of that to where it's like, I mean, if you're kind of keeping your blog updated with your channel, I mean, it'll have that anyways. So
yeah. Okay. And then last question before we dive into other people's questions here is, if I want to take some first initial steps in making my website optimized for Google, and it is a goal of mine, like if I want like my videos to be discovered there, or my content in general, what are the basic things I should just do first?
I mean, I would say the biggest thing that I have with video creators with their website is what I've mentioned about yours, is like it's just a video and then the description. So I'd say like written content, like there just has to be written content.
Okay.
And that solves a problem, whether it be informational or tutorial based or whatever. Like I would say written content is first. As far as SEO goes, I would say that I mean, so the question you asked is kind of a big question. I mean,
right. I know. So you're like, well, how do I get number one on YouTube? You're like, well,
I've based my entire career basically on that question.
I know. It's not like easy. 1, 2, 3, boom, you're done. Yeah. But just to kind of point people down the right direction, like you know, like how should I, or maybe a framework in terms of how I should think about it or something.
Yeah, so I'd say one, just get started, have written content. If you're going into WordPress, I mean, Yoast SEO, it's a plugin, is a great starting point. But then like focus on some of just the SEO basics, like titles, descriptions, just be very clear and informative. User experience is huge. So like I usually tell people, like if they're just focusing on trying to get started, like instead of worrying about like this massive checklist, like just focus on simplicity at first. Because if you focus on simplicity and just kind of what I just said, like create content, like a decent user experience, you're going to start to have like ideas as you start to go down this path. And like, rather than getting it too complicated and having to try to like pare down and fix it, like start simply. And then once you're like there and you kind of get a feel for how your site is being used and how you can use your site, like then you can start to add more features and more organization and things. But like, honestly, really, it's about getting started and then asking like the questions and seeing where like you're having success and building on that. I mean, I imagine it's probably similar to like starting a YouTube channel. Like, I mean, how do you start? Like you just kind of get started and then you learn along the way. And then, I mean, yeah, you make mistakes and stuff, but like you start with at least the important things, which is the user and content.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So you guys, if you need a good place to start or you want advice or help with it, you know, you can check out #jeff.com. and link to his website in the show notes. You guys can connect with him there. So super chat people, thank you guys so much. Genderbender says, I'm watching your videos on live. So cool. Thank you, Jeff. Genderbender. And then Chief CMG says, Tim and Brian G are my favorite teachers. Thank you, man. Brian G's great too. Yeah, Brian's doing some really good stuff over in his channel. So you guys should check him out if you haven't already. Mystery Trip asks, do you suggest the website graphics should be similar across the platforms like YouTube and the website? Like, I guess they're asking about branding. Does that all need to be consistent, or are the graphics different from one to the other, or what?
I mean, it could be a little bit different. I mean, it depends on the purpose of it. If you're sending traffic from your site from your channel to your site, then I would say that it's probably more important to have that consistent. But if I'm trying to generate traffic another way, like the example I used with the Bucket List family, where my channel is my the entertainment, like that's my brand, but my website is more like about travel information and like reviews and all that stuff, then like it can be a little bit different. What I wouldn't do, like, cause like you guys create graphics for like the cover graphic or whatever for your video.
Thumbnail, yep.
Thumbnail. Yeah. I would think a little bit differently when you're creating those, just because it's like the experience is just a little bit different. You're not going to be quite as in your face and like text over graphics and things like that, just because, I mean, think about when you go to a written post, I mean, it's less about that. Also, you can also assume that you're probably going to have like a YouTube embed there anyways. So that graphic, I would definitely kind of change and make sure that it's consistent with the purpose of the website versus the purpose of your channel.
Yeah. Okay, good. Leron, hey man, how are you? Good to see you. I think I might see you in 2 days at Video Marketing World. That'd be fun. So he says, should you share your video or share your blog post that contains your video? And he says, parentheses, he's thinking velocity. So he's thinking like, there's a I don't know if I should call it a theory or what, but a practice on YouTube that the more views your video gets right when it's published, the more the bigger that velocity, the more likely YouTube is to push your video further and further, which is more complicated than just what I stated, of course. But my take on this is that it depends on what your goal is. If you need to share the video on a blog post because there's a lead magnet there, or it serves the viewer better in some way, or you're going to convert higher there or something, then go for it. But if the goal is to grow the video, then the more traffic you send to the watch page on YouTube, which is like the page where the YouTube video actually resides, and there's comments below it and suggested videos next to it, that page, then it'd be better to send them all straight to the video. But there's nothing wrong with doing it either way. Do you have any other info on that?
And when you you could probably answer this for me. Like when you're talking about sharing, or you're talking about like via like your email list and like
I'm
social.
guessing
Is that what
so. That's how most people do it. Yeah, if they have a website that's worth embedding the video on and sending people to, is because they have an email list. And so do we send people to the website or to the video? So you got any insights?
So I'd say there's probably going to be a combination of both. Like people always ask me like for SEO, like what, like, do I do this? I always tell people like focus on like what's gonna like in the blogging world, especially like food and recipes, like Pinterest is huge. So they ask me like questions, and I always tell them like what's gonna help you on Pinterest. And if sharing your YouTube video, like sending to the watch page, is going to tailor to the algorithm and to YouTube so that you can get more reach, do that. The nice thing about your website is that you control it. Like it's not like it has this algorithm that's freshness and all this other stuff. Like you could even delay it to where you have your video and you focus on your video, and then like a week later your blog post comes out, so that then you can insert that into like the email and social and all that, so that you kind of combine that. So, but I would say whatever tailors to the algorithm, like however you're going to get more reach, like do that first and foremost. Your site, you'll be able to adapt and kind of do things too.
So yeah, for me, like I don't really have much of a goal behind my website, videocreators.com, other than to get people into a lead magnet or into a consultation with us or one of our courses, or like basically they already know who we are, they've heard about us, and they're not finding us through Google, they're coming to us through some other means, and then they go to the website. And so when I share videos with my email list, like we send them straight to the watch page on YouTube, because they're already on my email list. So they must have already been to my website once. And so I'm not really trying to get more traffic on the blog post for any real reason. In fact, I think that for me, they would convert better on YouTube, because then there's other videos that they'll watch and I'll get them in more potentially into a longer viewing session than sending them to my website. So and then if the goal of the video is to sell something or convert into something, you can always put the link in the show note, or not the show notes on podcast, and in the description of the video, or interactive cards or something like that. So if there's a call to action that they need to be on your website for, it's still relatively simple for people to take that action if they really want to. It's my
where it'll also help, like if you're doing exactly the same, like then that's where you have to kind of navigate that question a little bit more. But like if you're entertainment and you have a blog post that's more informational, like I think you can do both. Like you can send them to the watch page, but then like if I'm the bucket list family, I send them to the watch page. But like, let's say I also have, hey, like here's my packing list for like whatever, or like here's the best restaurants or the best like whatever. Like so you can have it so that it kind of tailors or like goes hand in hand with your video. But again, I think there's strategy there if you think through it and think about your goals. Like I think that's what's going to be important.
Yeah. Cool. Midnight Madness 4x4 asks, my website already ranks number 2 and sometimes number 1 on Google. Would exclusive content for the site be a good way to improve it?
I think so. Like, I think that's kind of, we call it, like you're referencing it as exclusive content, but I would say that just content that fulfills whatever the purpose is. So like, just think about what questions, what things people might be searching. And so, some people, and it might be even the same thing to where like video is one, but then their website is the other. But I would say that exclusive content, in the sense that it's, unique content, because video and written content can be the same, but different at the same time, just because it's a different type of user experience. And so I would say that written content, you just need to make sure that it's broken down with headings and and things like that. Whereas your video, I mean, obviously people are watching it and stuff.
So it could be the same topic, but like the video is just going to be exclusive for YouTube and the written post is just be exclusive for your website, right?
Yeah.
So that's enough differentiation. It doesn't have to be, here's something I've never talked about on my YouTube channel before.
Correct.
That's not necessary, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And evergreen, like the thought of evergreen is really, really important because like the nice thing is that, I mean, even after like the popularity of the video or like freshness kind of wears off, like there's still a lot of written content that surfaces a lot, mainly because it's informational and it serves a purpose. Like recipes, I mean, is huge, but also just like reviews and tutorials and stuff. So think evergreen, like the more evergreen you can make it and the more like that it fulfills a purpose. Like, I mean, think about when something breaks, like where do we go? We go to Google, like, and I mean, if you can think about it in purposes like that, like that's where I would say the exclusive or the unique content is going to come and play.
Okay. Someone, last time you used the word evergreen, someone in chat asked, what's evergreen? You want to just explain that just real briefly for anyone they're like, what is that word he keeps using?
Yeah. So like, so evergreen is basically just, I would say timeless. Like it doesn't expire. So like, I mean, if I like banana bread recipe, like a banana bread recipe, that's pretty evergreen because I mean, 10 years ago it was relevant. Today it's relevant. So I would say anything that like has, that's relevant today, but also probably going to be relevant a year or two from now. That to me is evergreen.
Yep. Yeah. So something that's like a tree, it's always green. It's like always living.
Yep.
As opposed to a deciduous tree, which dies every fall, right? So that would be more like trending or time sensitive material.
Yeah.
So we're talking about stuff that could potentially live on and on and on and on because it's something people are always looking for. Like Marvin Boyer, sorry. Does a website monetize like videos does? Are they monetized differently?
So there's a lot of websites that, yeah, they are monetized. I mean, through ad networks and things. To me, that's actually what I really love, depending on the content you have. I mean, if you can get a sizable amount of traffic, there's a lot of sites with ads, bloggers that are, I mean, making a killing right now just because, like I said, brands are moving their ad revenue, like their ad budgets, or I guess, sorry, their marketing budgets. They're moving them from radio and TV and traditional like billboards and all that stuff. And they're moving them, I mean, online. And I mean, where do those, like, where are moms and other traffic? I mean, they're on blogs, they're on websites, I mean, and on YouTube, but yeah, like they do monetize similar. And so if you can get enough traffic, I mean, ads monetize really, really well. There's a lot of websites that only monetize through ad.
Yeah, it's a bit the principle, guys, is like if you're not paying for something, then you are the product, right?
Yes.
On the internet. So if your eyeballs are what they're selling to other people who will monetize your eyeballs. So it's like on YouTube, those ads are played there. They'll use some of their marketing budget because your viewer will go and spend more money with that brand than what they paid. Both YouTube and you, because YouTube and the creators split that revenue, right? So that's personally why I like not doing the advertising model, because I'm like I don't want to take $5,000 for a deal that's gonna make this brand $25,000. I'm like, if my audience is worth $25K, I'd rather have my own products and service I deliver that allows us to capture that $25K rather than just always selling someone else's stuff. Because the only way you make money, guys. I'm getting a little soapbox here. But the only way you make money is if you sell something. YouTube's not free, right? So maybe, I don't know if that helps or not. But yes, it does monetize pretty much the same way because you have eyeballs, then you're basically following the media company model, which is by selling those eyeballs. Farmer Brad asks, does YouTube have to optimize SEO for their site even though it's a YouTube company? So if you're asking, does YouTube optimize their site? Like YouTube's website is like way more optimized than you would think of as a normal website. And it's because they actually know every stinking little thing about what their people are doing on their website. So they know exactly how this video contributes to that viewing session versus this video to that session. And if someone watches this video, they'd be here. Maybe they'll be here a lot longer, but are they satisfied? You know, so there's like that satisfaction rating too. And so it is optimized, yes. But fortunately, you don't have to do too much with it. You just upload your video, give it a good title and description that tells YouTube a little bit about your video, but more importantly, tells your viewer like why they should click and watch and gets them to click. And then if they watch, then that's when Google's like, okay, yeah, or YouTube, sorry. I use the two interchangeably sometimes, but in this context, I need to keep them separate. Where YouTube is like, is watching what's happening with that viewer. So, in fact, for those, because I'm watching the chat here and some of you guys are like, yeah, make sure your keywords are here and there. And you gotta make sure that the search volume is this part. And if the search is volume, too much search competition, then use a different topic that's more specific and things like that. That's when I'm kind of like, I think I'm disagreeing with you guys a little bit on that part because like, on YouTube every day, there's people who were number one for years and no longer number one because someone else figured out how to serve people better. And so that's where I'm like, go after the person and don't worry about all that other technical stuff because, and this was the point I was going to make actually, was that on the new beta upload screen on YouTube, if you guys noticed, they took tags off of that screen. Tags are still there, but they're under the advanced tab now. And even under the advanced tab, they have this like this not a warning, but kind of like a little note that says like, this is primarily used for common misspellings. So they're kind of like, we don't even need your tag. And I give you a demonstration if you want about how that works. A couple of things you could look up, but that's the direction YouTube is going, and they're trying to get creators to go that direction too by moving things like tags that a lot of creators stress about and just moving it to the advanced tab where you don't even see it when you're uploading a video anymore. Supreme Gecko asks, do you think giving a direct link to YouTube videos with some build-up is better than a 20-30 minute or 20-30 second snippet of the videos to get viewers? Yeah, we're kind of getting a little bit away from the website discussion, but the question is, like, if you're posting a video on another platform or like your website or on Instagram or something, should you just give them a trailer and then tell people to click and go watch the full video elsewhere? I have found that that's a lot of work for very little reward. And it's not a tactic that we use anymore. So now we'll just upload the full video straight to Facebook. And our goal is to serve the viewer the best wherever they are, not just to get every single second of watch time we can on YouTube. So if uploading it straight to Instagram TV or Facebook or something will serve the viewer best, that's just what we do. And because we're trying to serve people just like you guys are and build a brand wherever people are, not necessarily get every second of watch time that we can. So. You have anything to say about that?
Where that kind of applies on the website is sometimes people just take their YouTube video and they'll just embed it in their content. And that's not always like the best experience because like they're on your website not to be entertained. That's what, maybe they're on your channel for, but so like, let's say that I have like a cooking show or something like that. If you have like a 20 or 30 minute like cooking show on YouTube, then maybe on your website, you just take like parts of it where you actually just kind of edit it so that it's a little bit more succinct so that it solves the purpose of how to make the recipe. Okay. So you can do that. But I've also seen like some people, they have the entertainment channel, but then maybe they have just a segment where they like walked through like their camera bag or their like, or whatever's in their toolkit or whatever. And they'll just put that part and edit it out. So you can edit that sort of thing so that it fulfills the purpose on the website a little bit better.
Yeah. Corey in chat just asked, don't you get a penalty if you send viewers away from YouTube to another website? And yeah, YouTube would prefer that you keep people on YouTube, but sometimes it just makes good business sense for you to get people onto your website or onto your email list or something like that. So yeah. Gender Better, another super chat. This one's for you, Jeff. Says, any advice for my audience? And they didn't really ask a question after that. So I think I'd say, Gender Better, that if you want Jeff's advice, you could go to his website, #jeff.com, and reach out there and find out more about Jeff through that avenue. So yeah, well, thank you, Jeff, for hanging out and for all your ideas and advice. Any place else people should go to check you out or see what because you have a whole course about this stuff and things too.
Course in a community. My course is just on #Jeff, and It's a monthly, so there's no. And the nice thing is if you want to try it, you can try it out for a month, and if you don't like it, you can get out. I don't charge a whole lot for it, and I kind of let people come and go as they please. But there's a whole community for it, and so as they have questions, I mean, people in my community every Tuesday we have a Q&A thread, and they jump in and ask a bunch of questions and stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess I know what you're doing tomorrow. So, Leron's last question: like, do we know if YouTube treats an embedded video view and watch time on my blog the same as anyone watching directly on YouTube? And the last I heard is that they do not count them the same because it's a different viewing experience. The embedded, the views will still count, but the watch time, from what I've heard, is different because one could be embedded on a completely blank page, and that's not fair as like of making it exactly like someone's watching it on a busy screen with lots of ads and other videos to click on and things like that. So, which is another reason why I just send people straight to the video on YouTube. So
well, that was a question I asked you while we were at Megaphone Summit, because I wasn't sure if that
I forgot about that
on the website like actually tailored to the algorithm on YouTube at all, and so I was curious about that as well.
Yeah, YouTube knows, like, and one of the things that I look for in terms of like should this video be trending or not is like what's the conversation happening around this video outside of our platform. So embedded views, I'm not saying they're pointless or worthless or anything. I'm just saying like YouTube does pay attention to where traffic's coming from in terms of like trending. But to answer this question straight up the way it was asked is like the watch time on the YouTube video itself, if you're just trying to get it to be positioned on the platform, whether it be the homepage or suggested videos or watch next or something like that, that's usually better just to send them straight to YouTube and get them into a viewing session. But yeah, if you go big on Reddit, YouTube will figure that out pretty quick, and that'll be a signal to them, right? So cool. Well, thank you, Jeff.
That's the same for your website too. No, sorry.
Same thing.
I was gonna. Yeah, like Google looks at elsewhere, and like those factors, like where the conversation is being had, what the conversation is, those contribute to your SEO as well.
Yeah. So one of the questions I guess I get around this too are backlinks. People are like, oh, I can pay for this service and get all these backlinks to my videos. And is that still a big thing in traditional SEO, backlinks, or not really?
I mean, they are, but definitely don't purchase the backlinks. And then two, like the other thing we have to think about is Google's much more advanced nowadays. So I would say that shares and like things like that also count as a sort of backlink, but even mentions, like if somebody just mentions you online somewhere, like in a thread or on another website, there's a lot of proof that Google does factor that in. Bing has already come out and said that they factor that in, but Google in a roundabout way has. Okay.
Yeah. Same thing with YouTube then. See, this is what I like there's so many similarities as you hope to expect, I think, between the two platforms, but yeah, but if we're going to boil all that down though, it comes to like optimize for people, not for robots, like optimize for the human element.
100%.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Jeff, for hanging out. You guys can check him out. Check out his course, #jeff.com. And if you're not already a subscriber here on our YouTube channel, we'd love to have you guys subscribe. We get new live streams every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time and new videos for you guys every Thursday. Just trying to help you guys reach more people, change more lives, and impact the world with the message that you're spreading. So thank you for letting Jeff and I hang out with you for a little bit here today. Subscribe, and I will see you guys again next week for another Video Creators Podcast episode. See you guys then. Bye.
Thanks, Tim.